Would you give up your future to help a stranger? I did. I was just a poor orphan with nothing but hope and my school fees, my one shot at a better life. Then I saw him, a silent beggar under a jacaranda tree, eyes hollow, ribs showing. I gave him everything. No name, no reason, just a feeling. Everyone said I was foolish. Maybe I was. But I had no idea that the man in rags was hiding a truth far greater than hunger, a truth that would unravel my past and shape a future I never dared to imagine. That my name is Adino, and I was born with nothing but the moonlight and my mother's trembling hands to welcome me into the world. Mama said I came quietly, wide-eyed, and watchful, like I already knew life would be hard. She named me after the night, and maybe that was fitting, because much of my life would be spent walking through shadows, searching for light. I lost her when I was 7. One morning, she started vomiting and shaking from the fever. By nightfall, she was gone. Typhoid, they said. The water had been dirty again. The neighbors buried her in the back corner of our village, where the ground was soft and the grass grew wild. I remember the sound of the shovel hitting dirt more than I remember the prayers. After that, I was sent to live with Mama Milka, my mother's elder sister, in the dusty village of Ingando, just past the edge of the Nairobi slums. Mama Milka took me in because no one else would, not out of love, but duty. She had 5 children of her own, and a husband whose hands always smelled like chang'e and sweat. The kind of man whose presence felt heavier than silence. I slept on a reed mat near the kitchen, where smoke from the charcoal stove painted the ceiling black and cockroaches scattered when I stirred. But I never complained. I had food most days and somewhere to sleep. In our world, that was more than many had. But what I truly cherished, what kept my spirit breathing, was school. Kalalini Primary was a crumbling, overcrowded government school with broken desks and peeling chalkboards, but to me, it was sacred. I walked 3 kilometers barefoot each morning, my heels cracked and calloused, my uniform faded, and 2 sizes too small. Still I went. Rain or dust, hunger or pain, I went because I believed deep in my bones that education was the only way out. It was the light my mother had left burning for me. Miss Wanjiku, my favorite teacher, once told me, Adino, you may not have much, but your mind is gold. Guard it. I never forgot that. So I saved every coin I could. I picked vegetables at the market, helped Mama Milka sell mandazis, even collected and returned empty bottles for a few shillings. Bit by bit, I scraped together the 1,400 Kenyan shillings needed for my second-term school fees. I kept the money in an old envelope tucked inside the hem of my dress. It was everything I had, everything I was working for. The morning everything changed was like any other. The sun was climbing slow over the rusted rooftops, casting long golden streaks across the red dirt paths. I was on my way to the market, my fingers gripping that envelope like it held the very air I breathed. I was going to hand it to Mama Milka, who'd promised to walk it to the school's main office that day. But just before the market gate, I saw him. He sat beneath a jacaranda tree, its purple flowers scattered around him like fallen memories. His back was slouched against the trunk, his clothes torn and brown with dust. His beard was matted, his feet were cracked, flies hovered near his lips, and yet his eyes were sharp, not in a threatening way, but deep, ancient, tired. He didn't speak at first, just looked at me. Then, barely above a whisper, "Child, please." I froze. People passed him like he was part of the tree, invisible, but I couldn't look away. In that moment, something cracked inside me. Maybe it was the memory of my mother, sick and helpless. Maybe it was the way I'd always hated being ignored, dismissed, forgotten. Maybe it was just the quiet dignity in his eyes. I reached into the hem of my dress and pulled out the envelope. He stared at it, then at me. Your parents, will they be angry? I don't have parents. I said. He blinked. His lips trembled. I placed the envelope in his hands. God bless you, he whispered, his voice breaking. I turned and walked away, unsure if I'd just made the worst mistake of my life, or something far bigger than I could understand. That evening, Mama Milka beat me with a stick, not because she was cruel, but because she was desperate. School was the only path out of this life, and I had thrown it away for a man who would forget my face by morning. But I didn't cry. I couldn't. Something inside me had already shifted, something I couldn't name. What I didn't know then was that the man under the jacaranda tree was not just a beggar, and I hadn't given my future away. I just handed it to fate. That it was 3 months after that morning by the jacaranda tree. I had not returned to school. Each day blurred into the next, washing dishes, chopping vegetables, chasing Mama Milka's youngest around the compound. School uniforms passed me by in the mornings like bright birds flying towards something I could no longer reach. I tried not to look. It hurt too much. But sometimes in the early evenings, I'd sneak away to the corner where the old market met the road, hoping to see him, the beggar. He never asked me for anything again, just nodded when we made eye contact, then lowered his eyes like he didn't deserve the weight of my gaze. Then, one afternoon, the world shifted. It was hot, the air thick with dust, and the sharp smell of fish. I was helping Mama Milka lay out tomatoes on a mat when a black SUV rolled into the market, shiny and too clean for a place like ours. Its tires kicked up the red earth, and everyone stopped to stare. These cars never came here unless someone was lost or looking for trouble. A tall man stepped out. He wore a blue suit that didn't even wrinkle in the heat. His skin was smooth, his shoes polished like mirrors. He looked important, but also anxious. He walked slowly, scanning the crowd, eyes searching for something or someone. When his gaze landed on me, he stopped. You are Adino, he asked, voice gentle but steady. I nodded, my throat dry. He smiled, not the kind of smile meant to charm, but one filled with disbelief, relief, gratitude. I've been looking for you. Mama Milka rushed to my side. What's going on? She demanded. Why are you asking about my niece? The man bowed slightly, then introduced himself. My name is Daniel Kaib. I'm CEO of Kaib Technologies. The name meant nothing to me, but people around us began whispering. That name did mean something to them. He pulled out his phone and showed me a photo. It was him, the beggar, but this time clean-shaven, smiling, dressed in a white shirt beside the man in front of me. My father, he said, softly, Obadiah Kaib. I couldn't speak. We lost him 10 years ago. Daniel continued. After my mother died, he fell apart. Depression, guilt. He left everything behind. Me, the company, the house. Just disappeared. We searched, hired detectives, prayed, but nothing. Then, he said, a few weeks ago, his father walked into the front lobby of Kaib Technologies. Ragged, dirty, unrecognizable. Security had tried to send him away. He told them he didn't want money, just a moment, just to speak to me. When Daniel came down, he said the first thing his father asked was, asterisk, do you believe in miracles? Asterisk. And then he told him about me, the little girl who gave him her school fees, who didn't ask for his name or expect anything in return. He said it was the first time in a decade that someone had looked at him and seen a man, not a ghost. I wouldn't be here, Daniel said, looking at me with eyes that shimmered. If it weren't for you, he says you reminded him of who he was before the fall, that your kindness made him want to come home. My knees felt weak. He stepped aside. and from the car, Obadiah emerged. Clean now, older than I remembered, but still with those same tired, deep eyes. We stared at each other. He stepped forward, slowly, carefully, as though afraid I might vanish. "I never forgot you," he said, voice trembling. "You gave me what no one else could, hope." Tears filled his eyes, and I thought, maybe I could give you something back. He pulled an envelope from his pocket, thick with crisp notes, a check tucked inside it, my name written neatly at the top. I took it, numb, the edges trembling in my hands. "I don't want charity," I whispered, voice shaking. Obadiah shook his head. "It's not charity. It's gratitude. You gave me your future once. Let me give it back to you." The market was silent. Even Mama Milka didn't speak. The tomatoes lay forgotten. I looked at Obadiah, this man I once thought had nothing, and realized he had carried a world inside him. A broken world, yes, but one that was healing. And somehow, in giving up everything, I had planted the seed of something far greater than I ever imagined. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Even as I held that thick envelope in my hands, the proof that kindness could ripple through the darkest corners of life and return, unexpectedly, as something beautiful. It was like stepping into a memory I didn't know I still carried, the silent moment by the jacaranda tree, when I gave away my only chance, not knowing the man beneath the rags would one day rewrite my story. Obadiah didn't expect forgiveness. Neither did I. There was a long silence between us, filled with words unsaid, regrets, pain, and unspoken hopes. The man who had vanished from my life was not a hero, but he was human, broken, and trying to mend what had been lost. And I, a girl once too small to dream, was now standing beside him, no longer just a victim of circumstance, but a witness to resilience. Mama Milka looked at me differently that day, her eyes softer, as if finally understanding that survival wasn't just about holding on, but knowing when to let go. Yet even with this new beginning, I felt the weight of what was left behind. The years of hunger, the silent nights, the stolen childhood. The scars did not disappear with a check or a kind word. They lingered like shadows, reminders of a world that still needed healing. I learned that life rarely offers clear answers. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in holding contradictions, hope and despair, trust after betrayal, and love amid loss. My journey wasn't just about a father reclaimed or a future secured. It was about the quiet courage of a girl who gave everything without knowing what she would get back. So here I am, still walking this path, still learning, because sometimes the hardest part of growing up is not just surviving the storm, but choosing to shine after it. And maybe, just maybe, that's what true courage really means. Sometimes the world asks us to give everything without promise or reward, just a simple act of kindness in the face of impossible odds. I gave away my future once, not knowing that in doing so, I was planting seeds of hope deeper than I could see. Life isn't always fair, and healing doesn't come all at once. But in the quiet spaces between loss and love, we find strength we didn't know we had. And maybe that's the real story, not about what we lose, but about how we keep going, holding on to light even when everything around us feels dark.